What's up, guys? Bart, what's going on, man?
Hi Nick,
How
it's
are
not
you?
so it's not so early every for everyone. So I'm actually sorry. I was the one that mentioned reband at Jen's niece, but I didn't say that it was her fault. I just said that somebody
No,
might miss.
someone had mentioned that they thought that might be how she coached it in the video. So I was just
No, no,
clarifying
no.
that.
I know she mentioned the reband in her knees, but like you said, she was doing like
Yeah.
reband the Olympic way, and then to brace and don't bend their knees. So,
Yeah, I just wanted to
but
I just wanted to address that because I wasn't sure because literally everyone is catching and going right into the press with soft knees. It wasn't because you said it. It was I was worried people were interpreting what she said incorrectly. Because
no, no,
literally
no.
everyone that's doing the clean and press right now is catching it in the dip and going right into the press. And I am baffled how that is what everyone's going with. And because I'm typically there's a reason, and I can't figure out why everyone's just naturally doing it that way. Except for like one
It,
person so far.
Yeah, it's just technically and tough as fuck. So I think that somebody might see the Jen's video for the first time in the loud gym, focus on their knees, and then I'm so happy I clean it. I just
Yep.
I just go with it. So I'm waiting for
Well,
the master class.
what's interesting is that press where you catch it with soft knees and go right into the press is actually something you do after you learn to clean and press for speed. It's called a reactive press, and it's something that happens after you learn the fundamental clean and press. So it is a valid option, but we need to learn. It has to be like say you have 10 reps of clean and press, um, and you want to you're going to get through the first five are probably easy. You're probably going to be able to reactive press them to get to the harder reps where six, seven, and eight, you're going to have to clean, get set, press, dip and drive for the harder reps. But this is a unique experience because I've never seen like a mass people immediately go right to the reactive press. So it's been like it's like, okay, how do I coach this so people stop going? Because every time I see a new person doing the clean and press, they're doing the reactive press. And I'm like, what do I need to say to get it to, but it's okay. That's why we're doing a masterclass video at the end of the month on both like the front squat and the clean and press, each press variation.
Uh, I
Um,
think one reason might be the short on time foundation,
mhm.
intermediate. I think starts the first exercise. It's or maybe the second one is the barbell clean and press. So if
Okay.
somebody just choose the short on time foundation because I don't have time, and they have to clean and press with the barbell, it might be tough.
I know clean and pressing is also new for the programs like this past year. So
Yeah, I
that's
have.
another thing is just like the growing pain of the clean and press being a new movement overall for the app. Um, because it's such a broad movement. Um,
Yeah, I had them on dumbbell foundation, seated, so it was much easier.
okay.
But you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think,
Um,
and I think the longer I'm here, the more people who want to just follow the program, don't change the exercises. you guys, just to shadow our brain, do the reps, do the
Yeah,
suggested exercise, not the ones we like or the ones we think we should be doing, because I know that the exercises I hate the most are the ones that my body needs the most to progress. To
yeah.
don't look at my ceiling, just look at the floor.
Man, I've had training sessions in the past where like mostly in prep where I look at and I just have anxiety. Uh Not because of what the movements are, but it's the rep scheme or the tempo or whatever it is, and I know what's entail and how much suck is coming. So like it's like I go through, my day up until my training session, and I'm just like I have this pending doom feeling. Because I know in like 3 hours or whatever, mm, mm, like it might be like I remember one of the first times I've ever had it was I had from Maryland Strongest Man. We had a max rep car squat. It was like a car on this frame with this bar, and you squat it. And I knew that it would the contest the anytime you do a car, depending on the frame and the leverage, it either works out to where it's too light and you do a shit ton of reps, or it's just really heavy and like 6 reps wins the whole thing. And so we were prepping just for both. So we'd have days where I had like AMRAP squat with um lighter to get the gas tank, and then super heavy to prepare for that. And then I show up day of and we're warming up and I'm like, shit, this is gonna be a rep fest. And like I just had this knot in my stomach up until I was about to go, and the guy that I was in second by a point behind me, I knew I had to beat, and he did 26 reps. So that means I had to walk up there and get 27. And it was just literally a blitz for a minute, just rep after rep after rep. And uh, that was when I tell you like the last probably 10 reps were willpower, the amount of anxiety I had going into that, knowing what was coming. Like I had my knees wrapped, had a belt on, legs quit working. I literally got my coach and one of my training partners like grabbed under my arms and pulled me off the platform. Like my legs, I had baby deer legs. Like they just were inoperable. If you had a gun to my head and were like, you get up and walk now, I'm eating that bullet all day long because that it just wasn't an option. Um, and moments like that in training where I just know what's coming, a max distance carry and prep for an event or things like that. I get like anxious about it because I want to do well. I want to push, but I know how much it's absolutely going to suck. And honestly, I've had more training sessions in my life that I didn't want to do at this point than the ones I genuinely wanted to do. And it's not because I don't want lifting. It's just I know what like I'm gonna go in and shit's gonna suck for 2 hours, and that just is what it is. Um, I just People get caught up in the. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be fun. Like you're supposed to enjoy this, but like with anything we do, we it's impossible to enjoy it. Like at a certain point, this is for our well-being, our mental health, our physical health. Um, and that doesn't mean it's sunshine and rainbows every single training session. Um, there's people in here that I have working on things outside of what we offer in the programs. Joe, who's here, Joe and Ellis are a perfect example. I've her doing some of the most boring shit. Um, it's not fun. Like there are these rotational movements, modification certain movements, and the shit's not fun. I don't think it's fun, but it's just necessary for certain things. And um, the way I have Colin squatting, ideally him squatting with more weight would probably be more fun for him. See how strong he is. But that's not long term. That doesn't do him any justice. Whereas getting him that range of motion, spending weeks on building that range of motion, and it's not fucking fun. It just isn't.
No,
Uh,
it's not. It's boring.
yeah, I mean, when we first did it in person with Colin in Ohio, his feet were cramping up because I had him inputting into the floor completely different than he's ever had to do. And his legs were cramping, his glutes were cramping up. He was getting more engaged. His body was literally like, what the fuck are we doing? Um, because it was new inputs that he just hadn't had access to. Um, and people get caught up in the I don't like that or I don't feel like doing that or and yeah, welcome to the club. You're not special. There's days where I don't feel like doing squats, and squats my favorite movement, believe it or not. Um, Squat, deadlift, and overhead. I know that's ironic that the thing I have world records in comes last, but it just it is what it is. I've always naturally been I would say the lift that came naturally to me was squats. Um, but because I've become a really strong overhead presser, now I have patellar tendonitis problems because the torque and the explosion that is generated in the dip and drive. That's new for me the last 2 years, and it makes me when I know I'm having like a bad knee day, walking upstairs and my knees are pissed off, I do not feel like squatting. Because I know it's going to take me 45 minutes from when I walk into the gym before I'm even able to get under a bar with weight to have my knees to a point where they're even in a point where they're not painful enough for me to have full range of motion because my pain ROM is like the mid range on a squat, your dip and drive on an overhead press, where torsion's really high for me in that, and it's the descent that absolutely crushes my knees. Um, so sometimes my adjustment might have to be okay. I'm not going to be able to get the tonnage on my back that I want. So that means I'm going to have to add tempo to shave off some of that pain, but that means it's going to hurt for longer in the rep. Um, and those are things, even I'm doing, right? Like I don't look forward to it. My off season I look forward to because my warm up takes less time. I can get in, be warmed up in 10 minutes because I'm not doing any big compound movements. And I'm like, okay, this is what it feels like to train not like an insane person. And it's pleasant. It gives me a mental break more so than my body a break. The training's still high effort, but it's a shift. So getting these people that, hip bebop across programs and can't stay on the thing like I'll tell you I struggle that's where I struggle as a human and as a coach is to have sympathy for people that just won't um and that can be bad and that's where I'm really learning from Adam and Catch on how to people is because I spent a long time it's the reason why I stopped coaching a lot of athletes and um for a while, like general population and exclusively coached adaptive because I can count on one hand how many adaptive people that said no on doing the work. Where like I'd get some dude, in his late 30s and he wants to be strong, wants to be jacked, wants to do a powerlifting meet, and I'm like, okay. And we get like 3 weeks into it and he's like, I didn't do this because I was this that day. And I was like, well, I had bubble guts today and I still squatted. Like, I thought I was going to shit all over the floor, but, I did what was necessary. Um, and I just started losing all my patience for people in general. Because peopling doesn't come naturally to me. Um, and that's where I really had to kind of learn with this app and this ecosystem was the people that how to get them to do it. Because I've always been a firm believer you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. You got to meet me halfway, and I still hold true to that to some extent. Um, but working with Adam and Ketch and their people skills, getting them to kind of turn over and start doing it for themselves has been a learning curve. Um, because in the past, truth be told, I didn't really advertise my coaching because I didn't need to, because I had high level athletes. I had, you know, people that know. I didn't need to advertise. Um, and I was in a position where I could turn around people that didn't want to. I was at a point where I no longer had to get the client, right? I could pick and choose who I wanted to coach. And that allowed me to, okay, if you're not willing to do the work, get the fuck out of the way because I've got all these people that are. Um, so
I'm so happy
here,
you choose us.
yeah, here
Yeah.
within the ecosystem,
Yep.
we have a ton of people that want to do the work that show. I mean, look at how many of you guys show up every single week to this. Um,
Yeah.
oh, and like Benoit, he's one of our habitual overthinkers. But the reason why I'm okay with that trade-off is because I know he's going to show up and do the work. Like that if you do that, there's so many trade-offs that you can work with if they have a work ethic and want to improve. Um and it just that's like a big thing where um if they're simply not willing and just habitually make excuses, I struggle to have sympathy and get them, yes. But that's where I'm learning and growing as a coach in this ecosystem with Adam, Ketch, and Jen. And like Jen and I put it, we figured out like how our coaching works. She's really good at A to B. She's really good at getting someone to say yes, I'll do it. She's really good at getting someone in the door. I'm really good at B to Z and all the nuances in between of getting stronger and more fit and things and performance. So we kind of I that's where like having the different coaching styles, I don't need her to be a master on squat. I don't need her to be a master on strength. I bring that to the table. I need her to to be better at peopling and getting those people that are on the fence or not necessarily maybe willing to do the work and kind of cheerleading them or whatever you want to call it, needing them into or tricking them even to being open to willing to do the work, stop making the excuses. And that's where she's, I would say, like very good, world class. And I'm not. I'm not. I go, okay, fuck you. Like I I can't do it for you. And she has that patience. I don't. And that's where I'm trying to learn and from them. Um and it just the app forces me to do it. It forces me to be more patient. It forces me to it's making me a better coach because it's making me do certain things that I wouldn't normally do as a coach, as far as uh giving certain people it's not that I don't give them a chance, it's I give you a chance and you either show up or you don't. The train keeps moving. Whereas here I try to figure out, okay, this is an opportunity for me to grow. Instead of calling someone a dimwit or a doorknob, how do I get them to say yes? um it's as simple as that. Like everyone here, we don't. Everyone that showed up today for round two aren't people that I struggle to get a yes with. You guys are pretty much pretty relentless on your pursuit of getting stronger, moving better, whatever your goal is. You guys are willing to do the things that are required of your goal, but some people just aren't, or they're delusional, or they simply don't understand. But simply not understanding is easier to work with because if they don't understand, you can kind of reframe things and reorient and be like, okay, their goal is huge, right? So let's pick micros in between till we get to a point where that overall goal is visible. Prime example, Catch. He will pick this shoot for the stars and bless his heart. I love his drive for that. Um, he is now realizing that the days of 50-pound PRs are long gone. They are, and it's not because of his age. It's not because of his genetics. It's not because of anything other than simply his motor skill pattern has gotten to a level of efficiency where strength is now the main driver of his numbers going up. And strength takes way longer to progress than motor skill. That's why I've said this before. The first like year or two, live it up because the after that, those motor skills, those 2 years of practicing deadlift, squat, overhead, bench, and you're every month you're like, man, I put 20 pounds on my bench. Every year, man, I put 60 pounds on my squat. That's gone because of the motor skill efficiency. So the motor skills improving, strength is improving, motor skills here. But as we hit a certain level of efficiency, the motor skill, even though it's still slightly improving, now the strength has to be uh is the main driver. Um so that's why everything seems to slow down, or people think they hit a plateau because they're not hitting those 20-pound PRs. No, you didn't hit a plateau, dickhead. It's just hard now. Um, you have to progressively overload. Um,
Would you
you
say,
have
Nick?
to.
Would you say, Nick, that at that time you lower faster if you skip a workout, for instance, when you're at the top? If you skip one or two workout, is the impact more significant than someone who is at the start level where they increase really fast?
What do you? I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, well, you said that when you're a beginner, it goes up really fast. Like the strength and the technique goes up very fast. But once you're near the top, if you skip a couple of workouts, does is the impact more significant?
In what time frame?
Well, I would just say maybe you skip 2 weeks because you were really sick, or I don't know.
Like two
Then
weeks consecutively?
yeah.
Yeah. And here's why. Because and it's for different reasons. So you have different reasons. They're both impactful for both. But I would say late game it's more impactful than early game, and here's why. Because you've gotten in this routine. Your body's used to a certain level of physical stress. You completely let off the gas for 2 weeks, and I know this for me to be true as well. Is that first workout fucking sucks. Um, I'm sore after. I am I feel like I'm not as strong, and it's not that I've lost strength. It's just like a shock to the system, the nervous system, because it's gone without this. You got to realize when we're lifting, our body's producing dopamine, it's producing all these chemicals, and it's like all this cortisol and all these things. Then our body doesn't have it for 2 weeks, and then just gets flushed with this dump, and then the lactic acid build up while we're working out. Like everything hits a little harder, a little faster, and it takes about a week of that to kind of bring it back down and level out and get you used to it. Whereas like if you did that early on, you're coming from that. Your body already knows that, and the lifting's newer. So it's less of a contrast. And I think a big part of it is also mental. Now because I've you know uh I've gone I think the longest I've gone without lifting in the last decade was probably 1 full week. Simply because I know what to expect. If I go any longer than that, I'm gonna get my teeth kicked in by that first workout, and I'm like, let me just do a little something, have a little snack in the gym, just so it don't hit as hard when we hit the gas pedal again. Um, so yeah, I would say for different reasons, yes. But if we're talking like, man, I missed 2 workouts this month, no,
I don't,
not at
don't know
all.
why, but I don't know why, but I really fear the loss of progression. It's what happened in my life, all my life. I was always increasing a lot, and then because I was doing, like, I was working on the farm, doing working out, and where I come from, they gave recognition to people who were not sleeping, not eating. So I really believed in that because it came from my parents, my old family. So I was always sick and losing my progress, and now I developed the fear of losing the progress.
I
And
mean,
I'm at a point where I love the progress I have, and I have the fear of losing it.
I do too. Like this is the first year in a decade of competing professionally in strongman. This is my first year where I went into the year and I didn't have anything planned contest wise. And I had a very big internal struggle because that was gnarly.
Yeah.
I had a very big internal struggle of, man, when I do decide to go, I'm going to be flat. I'm not going to be the competitor I used to. I had a million and one reasons of fear of losing everything I built because I still want to get stronger. Like that didn't change. But I needed a break from the weight cuts. My weight cuts are big. I can't have a 5 contest season. By the third weight cut, like my insides hurt. Not I mean like muscles. I mean like organs. Um, and I needed, and the mental toll, the mental cost is very high with those more than anything. And I've spent the last decade where 9 months out of my year are dictated by performance. So um, there's been no balance. I haven't had balance. It's been, I snowboard less because of strongman. I skateboard less because of strongman. Ride my motorcycle less because of strongman. I didn't shoot as much because of strongman because every waking moment was put into performance. I didn't travel as much, and I didn't want to miss out on Austria this year because of a prep. I didn't want to miss out on some of the meetups. I wanted to shoot competitively more often. I wanted to ride my motorcycle more. I wanted to skate more. I wanted to do things that, made me happy this year. And I decided when I want to compete this year, it's going to be for fun, and I'm just going to go open heavy and not have a weight cut, and have fun with why I started strongman. So the fear of loss, even now, like I had a 3-day workout week last week, and I had 4 programmed, and I literally went to Rachel and I was like, hey, because I still struggle with a Benoit. I went, hey, um, should I not train simply because I can, or I've got X, Y, and Z to do, and I want to train because I'm supposed to, but I don't have anything coming up, and I want to get these things done, and uh, I could do kind of like a little half training day tomorrow because that's how much time I have. And she was like, do that. And she's been in the training world for 20 years, so like she understands it. Um, and I still need to hear it from an outside source that it's okay that I missed a training session last week and did a little modified half one on my third day instead of doing 4, because I had other things I wanted to do and needed to get done. And guess what it impacted overall? Nothing. It didn't change anything about my progress. I'm still strong. I'm still maintaining. My goal is to maintain an 80% level of readiness. So I'm still eating on nutrition enough to not get fat and still produce strength, right? Um, have good workouts, but I'm I have the leniency to where if we go out to dinner or I go meet a friend and we eat dinner last night after my cardiogram, Cody and I went and I took him to his first pistol match and he did well. And afterwards we grabbed a bite to eat and I didn't have to think about, oh, I'm on prep. I can't do that. I don't have to bring my food. Just that comfort was like but it didn't impact my overall goal. I plan on maybe doing something in August, and I'm gonna do it in open heavy. I'm gonna do it for fun, and I'm strong right now. And then all I need is about a 4 week run up, and we're running on race fuel, and I'm in competition shape. Um, so I understand more than most because that is a been a huge fear that has dictated a lot of my decision making when it came to performance, um, of not giving an inch. Um, and look at Amelie. She's coming off of injury. She did some sort of movement through it. Say you, God forbid, you tear your bicep, right? There's things you can do. You don't have to completely let off the gas pedal to heal. You can continue making progress in other areas. Movement pattern. There's a deadlift variation for up my sleeve for when your upper limbs are compromised. And all you need is a fucking strap, a really long one, but that's all you need. And you get it's called a strap deadlift. We Brian had shoulder surgery in the gym, and that's what we came up with so he could still do a deadlift pattern movement. And he was chicken winged in a sling, and he'd put one arm down on the bar to keep it from swinging, and then he'd deadlift. And the strap went over his traps about where a squat bar goes. So like, there's alternatives and modifications, and I I love that you think that way because we're a bird of a feather there. We're very aligned there, but I was doing it to almost a detrimental point of unhappiness. And even that's something I'm personal growth wise I'm working on is being able to understand that I'd miss weddings, man. I'd go to an event and show up uh long enough. I'd bring a meal, and when it was time to eat again after I ate that meal, that's when I had to leave. Like that's how neurotic I've been the last decade. And it's exhausting. Um, but looking back, I wouldn't change that because of what I was able to I'm sitting at a point where I'm tired from the things I once dreamed about accomplishing, right? So um that's what helps me keep at peace with it. Now, being that I'm kind of having a year where I'm just like, chill, bro. Um, not retiring, not completely letting off the gas pedal. I'm struggling with that inner voice yelling at me to do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. And I'm telling my nervous system to chill the fuck out constantly because we're not losing progress. Everyone I started in, especially in my division, no longer does it. I'm going on my third, call it class of because people can only maintain a weight class for so long. I've done fortunate enough to be exceptionally well at maintaining that class because I started so light, but everyone's either classed out, gotten too heavy, retired, because this strongman can chew you up and spit you out if you're not careful. Like it is brutal. Um, and that moderation, that ability to know when it's okay to miss a training session and know when you need to push yourself to do it is a mastery long term that is something is really good to find uh that ability to do when it comes to your training. Bart, you had your hand up. Did we
Oh, so
freeze?
you did see that. We were
Yeah, I did see it.
wondering if you could see the chat.
Yeah, it was just
Sorry,
a
wait.
long-winded answer.
Okay, I think that Benoit. Yeah, you could probably go ahead with the forum tracks, but I know what Benoit was saying. Like you're in phase two. You had last week of the workouts, the toughest one, the most reps, the most sets. And if you hit your break there, your injury, your illness or something, and you gotta go back to those sets and reps, it just fucking suck. But but it's I don't know if it's better to restart whole program to get to it eventually, or if it's first phase, it's not a big deal. But if it's second or third, and we have to go back, it does fucking suck.
When it comes to restarting a
Pardon
program,
me.
it depends. It really depends. Like if you're 2 weeks in, that's fine. But if you're like week 6, you can take a
Yeah.
week off, like pick back up where you left off. It just depends. I'm
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in the middle of phase 2 in Maximize Your Strength, and then I got a quite severe cold, so I kept working out just to have the muscle moving, but
Mhm.
I had to stop for 2 weeks, and then I was at the point in Maximize Your Strength where you get those 5 sets of quite heavy weights, and I was like, well, should I restart or just go back? And then I asked the Arnold AI, and it said, well, give it a try. And if you see that it doesn't work at all, then restart, but give it a try. So I gave it a try, a really good try, and then I just restarted from that point where I was before being sick, and it worked well.
yeah. And it could be a little bit different for everybody. That's where there's, some people respond to things differently than others. So
Nick,
that's where like
I do have a sorry.
go
I do
ahead.
have a question. Mm, on the form checks, when I started sending them like two months ago, you were going alphabetically, I guess. It was fun for me. Then by the date, and now you're going like backwards. Is it? Is
No, I wasn't doing either. I have it listed by the
okay?
date from when I go in and delete them. Um, I can
Yeah,
see
I remember.
uploads by date and time. If they've uploaded after the form check, I know to leave that one for next week. But
Yeah.
it has its own order up here in the top right. So like if I go alphabetically and I click the first one, it'll start me on like 16.
Okay.
So
So so
I,
it's
I
your
don't
Mac
I don't know
problem.
what order it gives them to me in, but right before I start when I queue it up, I get it to, I guess, order of when I guess alphabetically. I'm not sure. I don't pay attention to that. I just hit the arrow. If it goes
Okay,
up, it
no
gives
problem.
me by date. Yeah.
Right now, I guess it's from the newest to the oldest ones.
Potentially. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't pay attention to that.
not a
All I know
problem.
is
Just I was just curious how why is it changing? I guess
I
it's we,
don't
we
know.
have to buy you a new computer.
I don't know why it keeps changing. I go off of the numbers. I know when I would list them alphabetically, if I click the first one, it would start me on whatever number that was in the thing. And I'd be like, why is it starting me on 25? This was the first one. So then, um, like I said, when I go through and filter them out and make sure I'm not deleting anything that was uploaded after the form check, I put it by date and I just check them off and then delete them in sets of 10 just so I don't accidentally do too many. And then I set it back to whatever its default is, and that's how I do them. It gives them to me in this number. But I knew that my bookmark was Benoit Majot. I knew he was where I left off. So all I had to do was find his name, and that would put me at 45, 46 automatically and go from there. I
Whatever
don't
works for you.
Dropbox be Dropboxing, bro.
Yeah,
Um,
don't worry.
Hey Nick, I just want to call out your hoodie, man. You a
oh
Jack Carr
yeah,
fan?
am I what?
Are you a Jack Carr fan?
I mean, I know of him.
Oh, okay.
This is the JSOG logo.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that your unit?
No. So JSOG is an umbrella. So that's JSOC, that's like your tier one. Um, and then you have SOCOM, which would be Special Operations Command. That's like your tier two. Um, and it is like JSOG. You've probably heard of like Delta Force,
Yeah,
DevGru. They fall under that Joint Special Operations umbrella. Um,
yeah,
and then so Delta Force is a special army. So you have special forces. People get that mixed up a lot. Special forces is army. Uh,
yeah,
Special operations is SOCOM, Special Operations Command. That's Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs, Marine Recon, Raiders, um, PJs, Air Force, and then JSOC. You have Army Delta, which is their elite of the elite. And then you have like DevGru, um, and things in that. Like they typically work hand in hand with CIA, things of that nature. A lot of super clandestine stuff. Um, and like Army specifically, like SEAL Team 6, I think would fall under JSOC. Um, I can't remember which one they fall, tier one or tier two. I was Navy. Um, so within that, you have like different, like they're the scalpels, right? So like the Venezuela thing, that was tier one. That was Delta. Um, and I, being what I did in the military, I've worked with the ladder all the way down to big army standard operations, infantry units type stuff, all the way up to the higher end of the spectrum within the special operations and JSOC stuff. So uh, uh, that's why I have the patches, the stuff, because I've done the latter, and that's the unique thing about what I did is an assault aerial asset is like if that's your region, it doesn't matter what the unit is. You are like you're doing special operation shit, you're doing big army shit, you're doing boring air taxi shit. Basically, you have a flight itinerary that day and you have hard times to each fob, and you're picking up people here, you're moving them here, you're dropping off people, you're picking up people there, moving, and it's very boring. Every now and then a tick might happen with the troops in contact, and being that fundamentally we're a gunship, um, we're equipped, we stay ready. Even on like regular routine, we call it ring route, battlefield circulation. We maintained a minimum 3,000 rounds each side, um, because we had passengers. So we have to, each time we get fuel, we have to calculate, okay, we're going over this mountain range. We don't want to take full fuel because even on the ground in RC East, where it's 7,000 foot elevation, so we have thinner air, but colder air. And cold air is great for turbine engines generating lift because it's dense, but our elevation kind of takes away that advantage. Whereas hot air, molecules expand in heat, um, make less horsepower, less lift to for the rotor blade to grab. Um, so there's a whole bunch of shit that goes into it, but um, I've worked with teams, I've worked with big army units, and um, I'm not a Green Beret. I didn't go through selection, but I've been in the special operations world just of what my job required. Um, and I would say that was the coolest part. Being able to look back on it is that I got to experience the spectrum of what the military has to offer in operations. Being that a door gunner is you, even though your job might not change, we are a multi-tool of mission sets, and that's the pride in being on Blackhawks. Is we truly do it all. We do medevac, we do aerial gunship, we do troop movement, we do medevac chase. So if the medevac goes up and there's a hot LZ, they'll send an assault bird. We'll go in, get rounds down, provide a defense through offense, pick up and casevac the patient, and then transfer them to the medevac aircraft as soon as fobbable at the nearest fob, and then we escort the aircraft. Sometimes we help with route clearance. We fly ahead of the convoy with an Apache. It's called Purple Team. So you've got close air support, and you've got fuck everything in that direction air support. The Apache is solely a gunship. It has Hellfire missiles, rockets, a 30 millimeter machine gun. The pilots have these sensors on their helmet with a HUD, so they see what the gun sees. And when they turn their head, the gun on the nose moves. It's a truly incredible piece of equipment.
I love Apaches.
But they're incredibly slow. So when you're flying Purple Team, you know you're going to take days to get wherever the hell you're going. Chinooks are the premier troop carrier. They are the fastest helicopter in the Army. They are big. They can hold like 30 dudes. They have a tail gunner and two door gunners. They have the two rotors. The joke in the military, it looks like two palm trees fucking in a dumpster.
Yep.
And they're the premier troop carrier that can secondary as a gunship. They're just not as maneuverable. They're very fast. They have bigger range. They've got a ton of fuel. Whereas the Black Hawk is truly the utility tool. That's why it's called a UH-60, utility helicopter 60. The Army has a habit of naming their helicopters after Native American tribes. You have the Kiowa, you have the Chinook, you have the Apache, you have the Black Hawk. You have the Huey, it was called the UH-1 Iroquois. And they, in Vietnam, the Black Hawk does what the UH-1 did in Vietnam. It was gunship. It was medevac. It was close air support. It was sling load. Like we can hoist something underneath of us and carry it. Chinooks can do that, but with things way bigger. You'll see them carrying a giant howitzer cannon, and it looks crazy. This unit insignia, this hoodie's from Black Rifle. That was one of the ones they gave me from the last Memorial Day thing we had. A bunch of JSOC guys out to Pastrana Land and gave them the Channel 199 experience down at Travis Pastrana's. So I've kind of ingrained. I have friends that were infantry. I have friends that I worked with downrange that were private military contractor that we worked with. I have friends that were special operations, tier 1, tier 2, because that was the cool thing about being the door gunner was like at no tier, everyone's like, you've got it. At every tier, everyone's like, you've got a cool job. And you're like, yeah, we do. You get to see the world from an incredibly unique view. And you get to do super high speed shit at the highest level, and you get to get rocked to sleep doing ring routes. I'll tell you what, there's nothing that when you're tired and that sun hits you in the face coming off of night vision and that aircraft subtly oscillating, it just rocks you to sleep. And then the pilots are dicks and they nose it over 30 degrees and they create negative G's and you float up out of your seat. You're like, what the fuck? And then they're like, wake up, asshole. All right. We got super off topic there. Dave,
sorry about that.
Dave, yeah, my bad. I noticed the Tiger Stripe camo and that was like Vietnam era stuff. So
yeah. It lives on. It kind of, the Tiger Stripe lives on through the special operations community because that's kind of where it started.
Okay.
So we still use it. We don't not service, but it's very part of it's like a heritage thing. Just like with door gunners. There's certain things we do and learn in school that is simply heritage, and some new school tactics, things like that. I always say, I would say the 240 is my favorite weapon system as a door gunner, simply because it's mechanical. It has that charging handle, has those metallic clicks. The metal clangs when it's firing. It's very. It feels like the M60. It's grandfather. And it makes you feel the butterfly trigger. It just makes you feel like a door gunner. Is it the superior? No, because we have the minigun now, which is 6 barrels, same caliber, shoots 2,000 rounds a minute, and you go, brrr, you just put 100 rounds down range. But it kind of feels like a cheat code. Whereas the 240, when you're engaging that far target, 400 meters at 100-foot altitude at 100 knots, it takes some finesse. It takes some skill to put a string on a point target, and it's I became to appreciate it because of what it is and what it means as a link. That was my generation's M60. That was my generation's pig. And I'm proud of that because these new guys are getting better and better weapon systems. They're getting better and better electronics. And I feel like the old crusty dude now when I see these, all the guys that have the new high speed fast helmets and that they're just getting issued. That was a special operations thing a decade ago. The infantry didn't get the fast helmets. We got the K-pots, the Kevlars. Everyone that wasn't, a fast team go fast. We have flight helmets, and even the flight helmet technology is changing. I remember I got my hear through system so I could flip a switch and it would kill the noise of the rotor blade. So if I had to talk to someone outside of the aircraft that wasn't on comms, like we were picking up passengers, I could hear them, and it killed the loud noise, and I could have a conversation. Whereas the guys before me, they're like, "Oh, that must be nice," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Like that was fairly new when I was doing it, and then now the guys, they got even better ear cuffs, liners, the night vision's better, and I'm like, oh, that must be nice, and then they're like, yeah, it is. So it's funny that you noticed. It's always interesting to, like, some people know, some people don't, but yeah. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Um, cut through these, and then we can get back to like Q&A, shoot the shit type stuff. Um, Rebecca, deadlift. Not bad. Um, if you're going for a conventional, a couple things. We need more leg drive. You're fairly stiff, and we are in a decent amount of lumbar flexion. So we need to set the back, push the belly button to the floor, turn the tailbone right here, turn it to the sky, and create a neutral spine. So we're pulling from a point of flexion here in the lumbar. We want to turn that tailbone to the sky and create a neutral lower back. Bend the knees a little bit more. Let your hips sink slightly. So our initial drive off the floor is mostly legs. Our midsection is holding position. Not too low. You want to go from like here to like here. We don't want to come all the way down here. Good. His shirt matches his collars. Good bar path, tight back, legs screwed in. He's got long legs. Keep pressing towards your face. So your bar path was good at the beginning. We were, uh-oh, froze. There we go. I want to see you pressing more towards that face, even on a close grip. Good. Stood up. Yick, not bad. See that dip he's doing? So he's got good timing. There's some things we could change to get him in a better position for the press portion, but his timing, if you look, he fires up and then dips under real quick, subtly, and catches the bar. Yeah, so I want to see bigger extension when you explode. I want a violent triple extension rising to the toes, hips coming through um, before you catch that bar to create more velocity. Once it lands, catch the bar, get your hands in. It's okay to move your hands when it lands. When I clean a barbell, my press position is slightly different where my width is than it is on the clean. Yick moves at a high level on all of his other lifts, so I'm not worried about the tedious cues with him because he moves very well. You're pressing in kind of that strict press position. We want to, after it lands, if you're cleaning with that wider grip, that's okay. We want to work those hands in and get those elbows up and high. So when we dip and drive, it goes right into the bar. It doesn't have that sag. Get it up behind the delts like a front squat. Chin back, chin slightly up. Dip, drive, knees out, and explode and drive to the back of your head. This is almost triple extension. His hips are a little behind, but this is good extension up through the legs. Triple extension is requiring those hips to come through. So if you're extending and you're here and you're neutral, triple extension is here, right? Our hips come through and forward. We're finishing up, and that's where we're finishing the high pull. Not bad, Dan. That's you've got it like 98% there. We just need to get more extension. And I want to see you dip more with the legs instead of hinge. So I want you to come down into that hang clean, less like this and more like this, and drive up through your legs, and don't just use your hinge to generate that explosive movement. Good. This is a solid heavy row. Got himself some blocks to stand on to get a bigger range of motion. Totally valid. Well done. Paul, you're moving better. Look at that hip position. This is really good. Leg drive's going right into the bar. Bip. Yes, sir. Nice job, man. All right, dumbbell high pulls. Jimmy, this is correct. Well done. Keep them close. I know you're trying to get around your knees, but keep them close. Like, I don't care if that dumbbell kind of slides up your knee or thigh. That's okay. Or you can kind of come out just like a dumbbell deadlift to the 45 because I know it can feel weird if the dumbbell slams in your kneecap. You can come down like at a 45 here and come up versus having to come directly out over your knees. Come a little bit lower. You can be kind of right here at a little bit of a 45 and row that way versus having to be way out front here. So we're here at a 45 instead of here. And that should feel a little less, I don't know, cumbersome, weird, than having to travel around the kneecap with dumbbells. Because it's hard to keep it close with the bell. So that might be a solution. But well done. A lot of high pulls on this one. So this is like a strict high pull. And that is a variation. But I want it to be explosive. We want the leg drive. Ken, like we saw the last couple people doing, that's what I want you to try and recreate. That little bit of hinge, a little bit of leg drive from the hang, and explode into extension. But the strict high pull was good. That was correct form.
Yeah, that one is in the that's the video in the app where we see
one?
Yes, where we see Catch doing the strict one.
Yeah, and it is a valid option. I know that that's the video. I'm intentionally having everyone mostly shift to the explosive movement because I want you guys generating power. I'll say it like this. If you want to do it strict, I'd rather see you do it with the dumbbells strict. But if you want to do it explosive, use the barbell. Benoit, that was solid.
Yeah, I wanted to validate that my lower back is not rounding too much, even though I noticed that it does because it's a PR.
The fact that your form's just intact on a PR that's a PR. I'm not worried about that at all. I mean, you had slight flexion. Slight flexion. I wouldn't call it rounding, I'd call it more so loading because it didn't fully go into flexion. It flexed a little bit and held, whereas it didn't round out.
Yeah.
So look at his happiness right here. Look how happy he is.
Yeah, well, it's Robert Park who said in the schmooze that he was at the same level than me and maximize your strength. So we challenge a bit each other, and yeah, so that's why I went for 455. And what about the hip level? You remember that you said that my hips weren't high enough. So I think I found a sweet spot now.
Okay, watch this and you tell me.
Yeah, usually I was much lower, but now it seems that the bar is moving at the same pace as my hips. So
what does that mean?
Should mean that it's okay. But yeah. We see that I saw the little arch in the lower back, but
okay. I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah,
a little arch on a PR, a big arch on a PR, isn't the end of the world. It's a PR. Things fall apart at 100%. That's why it's called max effort. Second, at a high effort, that was a little bit of an arch. I do it. A lot of deadlifters do it. You're not collapsed. Your brace held. You went from here and it loaded. It didn't round out. Your hips didn't cheat under. It wasn't an amount of flexion that creates risk. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It was a little bit of flexion within the realm of good.
That's great to know.
Yeah, I don't want you to think, oh man, I had a little bit of flexion, I suck. No.
I didn't think I suck, but I thought that I shouldn't go heavier. And that was my third set, and I stopped there because it was the third set in the app. But I think I could lift more. But then that
could have pulled 470, 475.
Yes. But that little arch made me think, well, maybe you shouldn't go higher.
Listen, it doesn't get any better than a PR with more in the tank. That's kind of the holy grail. Like, man, I pulled a lifetime PR, and I'm pretty confident I probably had 10 to 20 more pounds. That's a win. So when you go and say, do your percentage, right? And you pulled that with relatively good form, you pulled 455, do your percentage of a 460. In that situation, that's okay. If you pulled 455 and I'm like, dude, you didn't have 3 ounces more, then you're going off 455. Does that make sense? That's that intuitive lifting we talk about. Like, man, that flew lifetime PR. Let me do, if I have to do percentage work, I'm going to do it off of 460, 465 because I confidently know, not delusionally know, confidently know that I had realistically another 10 to 20 pounds. So I'm going to play a little bit conservative on that. We're going to go off of 460, 465. So I'm going to get stapled in the percentage work. That's where that's acceptable is when you have a PR that moves very well, moves very fast, doesn't move like 100%, 102%. That's where you can kind of make the decision to go, okay, I'm gonna, on paper my PR is 455. That's the most I've lifted. But in training, I'm gonna do my math on 460, 465 if I need to do math like that.
Okay. What would it look like if it was too heavy for me?
It wouldn't go up.
And let's say it's just before it doesn't go up. Would the lower back arch more? I don't know how I should feel if it's too much.
Yeah, because if you completely lose that brace, it's too much.
How like
there's a time and place for that. There's a time and place. I won't pull a PR in the gym that requires me to completely break down. The only time I do that is on game day, when I have to go for broke. So there's a time and place for sacrificing all the form for a lifetime PR. And training is not it, in my opinion. If you're able to make gains within a certain realm of perfection, that's what we want to do. So
yes.
I would say that what you just did, that PR, maybe even a little bit more, and you were still pretty much in position, would totally be safe and acceptable. Again, you're overthinking, but you're actually overthinking in a good direction right now. Because I always tell people we want to do our volume in a realm of perfection when it comes to technique. Yes, the last 1 or 2 reps might get a little bit ugly. That's okay. But 80 to 90% of that rep scheme was technically very sound. And that's building strength in the lower back. That's building strength in the brace. And the brace is ultimately the determining factor when it comes to things like a squat or a deadlift. Because our midsection has to support the weight. It has to bear the load. So if you're breaking down constantly in your rep work, that's a problem. But if you break down all the way on a 1 PR attempt in the last year, that's fine. But I would say what you just did, this amount of flexion for a PR attempt is minimal. Whoops. That's minimal. That's almost neutral. That is totally fine in any way, in any situation. Even a little bit more than that, I wouldn't have given a shit because you didn't totally lose your brace. This on a PR, I wouldn't call that out of position. I'd call that loaded.
Yeah.
So well done. You made the right call. You lifted intuitively. It was my 3rd set. I was only programmed 3 sets. I got a PR. I know I have more in the tank. Let's keep rolling. This is a good spot. You made the right calls.
Yeah, you see, I really listen to your advice to not overthink, and then I just placed myself there, raised the hips, and then that's the result.
You did everything right in this. Everything. All the way down to the number of attempts. You stopped at that 3. You got a PR. I know I could have done more. Yeah, you could have gotten greedy and thrown on 20 pounds more. But odds are, here's the thing. When we get to that point where we hit a PR and then we go for more, that it's costing way more because we've already hit an untouched amount on the bar. So you're like, man, the move's so fast. Why couldn't I even break the next one on the floor? That's why. So honestly, if you'd have prepped for say a 465 pull, you'd have done less on the pull before, right? So that would
Yeah.
have worked out to that number. But that'd have been such a close jump at such a big PR, a big number. It's a toss up if you'd have gone for it if it would have gone up because of what that one cost. Even though it was very pretty, it moved fast, it was still very high effort. It still required a lot of your nervous
Yeah.
system and body. So that's why PRing like that with more in the tank is such a good situation because you're like, man, I did everything right. I pulled within a realm, I PR'd within a realm of technical soundness, and there was more to go. You hit the sweet spot.
Yeah, I really feel it now.
You feel like I feel like I just hit a lifetime PR. Like,
No, I feel
oh,
no, I mean I feel the technique now. I push the belly to the floor, I raise my hips, and I know where to place my feet. And I yeah, I feel comfortable now. I mean,
yeah, good. That's what we want.
yes.
These are good. He's keeping his hips low, getting nice big range of motion. Elbows are staying relatively the same. They straighten up at the top, but that's okay. He's not using them to really fire out of the hole for momentum. Um, Tomas, these are great, man. Beautiful. Look at that. Up and down, completely vertical, not pushing back or forward. Good range of motion. Nailed it. Bulgarian split squat clinic by Tomas there. Fantastic. Yeah. Brilliant. Beautiful RDLs. These are good. Good bar path. Look how he's maintaining. He's going with that kind of almost neutral option. That's what feels good. That's okay. That's my preference. Feels better on my shoulders. Um, great job. Not bad. So you're squatting it a little bit. We want to get your hip position a little higher. So we want to go from here. We want to bring those hips up to somewhere in here because we don't want to squat our deadlift. We want to deadlift our deadlift. So you're mostly quad here. We want to be a little bit of quad, and then our hamstrings and glutes pick up almost immediately after. Um, it's light enough that it's not causing your hips to shoot up, and you're getting away with this. But this right here is more of a deadlift position. Now our hamstrings are loading. So but that position is why near lockout, your hips are still so far behind the bar. And then yep, you're having to get through late because of the squat position you're deadlifting. So out of the hole, we're going to bring those hips up. If you notice, when you're getting in position, watch as you come down to the bar, it pushes away from you. And now you're picking it up and it swings back because it had that forward momentum. So we want to arrest any bar movement before we pull. So no touch and go. I want to see dead stops out of you. And because I want you to dial in that starting position. So we're going to bring our hips up some. Our knees are going to pull back. We're going to bring that bar. That bar is out front. We're going to bring that bar directly underneath our shoulder. But I will say, let me go back real quick. This position that you're creating with the lumbar in the back, that neutral spine, you nailed that. Well done there. Oop, cut the rack. Good. So that last 2 inches of the bench press, realistically, your rep finishes. Watch the shoulders. Look at that. Now she's pulled herself out of position. Your bench press, that's what I want to see out of the back. I want to see this stay in contact the whole time. And how we do that is in that Zoom call yesterday, Tish put on a very visible display of that happening when she unracked and then pocketed her shoulder blades and her scapula, or her rear delts, her scapula and everything back into her back pockets. So we're pressing, we're keeping that slight arch. If you notice, I'm not pushing with my shoulders at the top. That's not happening to finish the rep. I stay together and I finish the rep with my chest and my triceps, not reaching forward. So your bar path is good. You're doing a lot of things correct here, but I don't want you pulling yourself out of position trying to be explosive. I can still move fast and not go into this. I can still fire and maintain that squeeze with the back. Solid deadlift. We can get more leg drive though. Your first rep had the most leg drive, but we were too low. And then you go into the touch and goes, and your hips stay high. And this is another reason why I have people not do touch and goes, is they slowly resort to basically RDLing or stiff leg deadlifting them because they have that tension from the top. Whereas if we are forced to come all the way down, dead stop, we have to regenerate tension. And that's what I want to see. So this position here, we're going to be slightly lower, whereas her first rep, she was too low. This is a good position, but she just needs to bring her hips up slightly, see how her hips kick back, suck her knees back, bar swung. So it's going to be somewhere in between here. No. It's going to be somewhere in between there and there. So now we're really high. So your legs stop doing the job. She's just hinging to get back down to the floor. So you're going to drop like maybe an inch or two, but not as low as you were at the start. And I want to see how that looks because your hinge pattern is really strong. She's got a neutral back. She's doing a lot right. We just want to get more legs out of her pull, but not go so low to compromise the leg drive like she did in the beginning. Peggy, you have a question?
Hey, Nick, can you explain and break down how you see leg drive? I'm not able to see that. I know that's a basic question.
Let me find someone that's doing it really well.
Thank you.
So we'll mark 63. Michael would be a really good candidate if he submitted a deadlift video. Yes. Perfect. Michael has a fantastic deadlift, so this is perfect. He's also got long legs. So off the floor, he's pushing the ground away right there. You see how none of this moved and all it was, I'm going to break it down frame by frame.
Awesome.
Watch the knees. Look at this is a quad push right here. Look at this. All of this is staying intact. This isn't doing anything but staying rigid and bearing the weight. And his legs are pushing against the floor, pushing against the floor. Now, hips, glutes, hamstrings are taking over. The leg drive is essentially done its heavy lifting. It's not finished because it finishes as the hips come through, but the main movers are now going to be the glutes and the hamstrings. Now the glutes finish the lift and the lower back. So, like, I would say 50% of the deadlift is legs, and you need a really strong posterior chain and midsection to simply hold the weight, or you'll fold. So what you're seeing from here off the floor, his legs are just pushing. This is why I say he's pushing the ground away from underneath the bar. And now the glutes come in. See this hip start to advance?
Yes.
That's leg drive.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. 63, I think is what we were. Yeah, we were on Barrett. Too close. Yep.
That was a good question, Peggy. Thank you.
Benoit, nobody asked you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yes, Barrett, you're too close. So we need to come forward, get into. When you see this, I want you to go back to Tomas. Tomas put on an absolute clinic on a beautiful Bulgarian split squat. So Barrett, look at his distance between. His distance allows him to basically have a vertical travel. Look how he got there's a dozen ways to get your leg length. And the way he did it, I think, has been trending on the internet recently, and it's a valid option. But here's the nuance to how he did it. It depends on your leg length. It depends on your proportions. So that works for him. Might not work for you. That won't work for me because I got short ass femurs. Right? I'm built like an ape. I got long arms, short legs, and a long torso. I got that caveman build. So that won't work for me. I'll be too damn close. So I just put my back of my knees up against the bench and I take my natural stride out. And that's where I land every single time. That works for me. But this is the position you want to be in. You see look how deep he gets that hip flexor stretch, that quad stretch. His front quad's loaded. This is nice and vertical here. And he sits center between both heels. There's no travel to this back heel. There's no advancement forward to this front heel. He is splitting that squat, Bulgarian split squat. Those are very technically sound, very pretty, if you will, split squat. So we need to get your front leg out further away from you to allow yourself to travel in between your feet. So you see how compact this is? Your hip needs to be much further in front of your knee on that back foot. So you're going to have to take probably, I don't know, a solid 6 to 8 inches forward, give or take, to allow yourself to travel in between, because you're not going to be able to get down deeper in this position because you're stacked up on top of yourself. Your knee can't travel that far over your toe. That'd be like God tier ankle mobility, which no one has. So yeah, we need to get you further apart. Right idea. I know holding those 2 dumbbells like that's definitely like some grip work right there. You're gonna have some meat hooks. I'm okay with that. So I want you more over. I want you to come down more closer to a 90 and practice that strict row there. You've got the right idea. We need potentially more load for you. This looks really easy. But I want you more over into the hinge, but maintaining this posture. Just hinge that over further. Like think like a RDL position or something in that range. Get you comfortable with being in that hinge pattern and supporting it. Okay, she elevated her heels. Let's see what this does for her depth. So again, this is what I was talking about. She's a very long femur, right? And a shorter torso. So that heel elevation simply, this is where you're seeing mechanics at work here. Because long femur people are folding further because this hip axis is further from their center than a short femur. So it requires them to get where the load is over their midfoot because their hip is further away. It requires them to fold more to keep it over that center line. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. So what that did, that heel elevation, what that did was that created more interior tilt, which allowed her a bigger range of motion with slightly less fold. And it changed her squat mechanics entirely. Night and day difference immediately. And that's where heel elevation is typically much more effective for people with that long femur versus someone with a short femur that has that hip mobility because of the long torso and the short femur. And this is where squatting is very much a case-by-case basis. I don't need her to squat up vertical upright because she doesn't have those proportions. This is okay. This is great actually. She's moving very well. I mean, she went from high and folding to absolutely burying these and being in a fantastic position. Barrett, these look lovely. Well done. Nailed them. Now just get used to fighting against that weight in the front load so you don't start to collapse at the bottom. Drive up into those dumbbells the entire time. Night and day difference, ma'am. Well done. Awesome. Keep those eyes up for me, Michael. Out in front of you. Not at the ceiling, but out in front. Well done. I'd like to see a little bit more squeeze in that upper back, but well done. Nailed these. Yes. Oops. Stiff leg deadlifts. Look at that. Yes, sir. Michael is living proof that age is just a number. Moves so well. You've made a stupid amount of progress, man. Michael, you're killing it, dude. Like your hinge pattern is so good. Okay. So too far here. So we're getting so deep we can't maintain a neutral spine. So again, this is a deadlift, not a squat. We don't want to squat the dumbbells. Um, so we want a little bit more hinge. We want to break at the hips, then descend. We don't want to squat down. We want to keep that belly button pushed out, tailbone turned to the sky, creating that neutral. And when we get into that more hinge position, our hips won't travel as far. And again, people, you don't have to do these to the floor. You can do them almost to the floor if you have the ability to do them to the floor. That's fine. Um, totally fine. But if we can't get there, we don't want to force it and put ourselves out of position. So, David, we want to do more hinge. So when you start this, you start so fast too. Just right into it. No foreplay. None. We want to get your hips back subtly first before you bend. Like see how it's a slight tilt, which is good, but before your hips even continue back, your knees are already advancing and our hips have only moved slightly. So we want to get more hinge. So our hips have to come back further sooner and allow the deadlift to happen and not the squat. We want to bring our feet in somewhere underneath our hip here. So foot will probably land right in here somewhere. We have that subtle collapse because I think we're just a little bit too wide outside of our. There we go. Yeah. So bring our feet in a little bit, just a little bit. Benoit is Iron Man outfit. All the bots roll out. These are great. Yeah, Benoit, these are fine, man.
Great. I just wanted to validate.
Yeah, well done. I'm expecting whenever I see Benoit try to add weight to stuff, my standard now is to see what random inanimate object he's gonna load onto the weight he's lifting. Like it's I that's my expectation now. Like it's gonna be like a lawn ornament next week. It's gonna be uh a car tire the week after that. Like that's it's gonna be like his little Easter egg. Like what will Benoit load to add weight this week? Lovely. Look at this. I mean, nice and neutral. Look at that. Yeah, not an extension, not inflection, just burying them. Like it's a little bit of a fold here. So we mitigate that by creating tension in that upper back and fighting into the bar. Very subtle, nothing catastrophic. It's okay. I don't want you to go read a 100-page novel on how to overthink this. It's subtle, it's okay, it's nothing catastrophic. Just a little bit more squeeze, maintaining that tension. That's it. That's it. Think no further.
All right. I wanted validation for that as well because at the beginning of joining the pump club, that's where my lower back was hurting with squats. Why? Because I was doing the butt wink, but now that's gone apparently. Eh?
Yeah, because you're not forcing flexion. You're in position. Those variety packs at Chips remind me of like my childhood playing sports. You know, you always had parents that showed up with that exactly. Like I can taste that picture. These are great.
Yeah, those I don't feel comfortable doing those RDLs.
Why?
I didn't know if I was squatting them or if I was doing like an SDL or
No,
so
this would
I
be an
tried
RDL. Yeah, you're fine here.
okay.
SDLs. So there's kind of like a little bit of criteria, borderline a little bit of a debate. Maybe not a debate, preference from coach to coach. Um, Stiff leg deadlifts would be your legs as stiff as possible, all the way down to the floor. Um, Minimizing leg drive is the goal with a stiff leg deadlift from the floor. That's one option. Option two is almost locked out, as far as you can go down with subtly soft knees, with zero leg drive. RDL is where we really exaggerate the hips behind the heels. And those are almost never to the floor because of that hip travel and really the lengthening of the hamstring. It limits our range of motion with semi-bent knees, because you have to bend the knees to get into that position. So that realistically, the stiff leg deadlift, and it's honestly why I don't spend much time telling people the difference is because if you're doing one or the other, we're targeting the hamstring and the glute predominantly anyway. They just do certain things a little bit differently. Uh, it's it's two very similar paths to the same goal. Um, and I just don't, if I had an athlete that is fine tuned, right? I want them doing a stiff leg deadlift. I want them doing a stiff leg deadlift. Or if it's RDL, I want them doing RDL. This for the glute and hamstring development, you're doing it either way. Um, so it's fine. But that was an RDL by standard. That was an RDL.
All right. Here, I just wanted to show that in December
A little
2025.
flex. All right.
Yes. So I used those car jacks in
Yeah, to
December,
elevate it. Because
and
we keep
now
it
it's
in position.
yes.
Look at that. Yeah. That's a good thing to do, to compare like when you first started doing this, we couldn't get you in position on the floor, so we built you, we worked you down, and
Yes.
now you're doing it. Like
Yes, and I actually really hated that I needed to do that because I felt like it was slowing me down. But you see, it's like 6 months later, and I'm doing my reps at 395 and the PR at 455. So I'm really thankful to you for showing me how to make it comfortable and injury free.
I'm happy to help, man. Also, probably the other PR here is in this video, you probably overthought it 16 times from the time it broke off the ground till you locked out. Whereas in the 2026 video, you probably only overthought it 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like
I told in the schmooze that I listened to your advice not to overthink, and
less think, more move.
Yeah, to me it really helped.
Sometimes it's that simple. Give the overthinker an underthought out cue. It's like it's like it's the yin to the yang. Make
Yeah,
make the verbiage so primitive that there's no way they can take it any other way.
Yeah.
Giannis, I like this position.
That's a spot toe press. No, sorry, that's low pin squats.
Pin squat.
Yeah, sorry.
Where's this Giannis been?
Yeah, but I think I'm doing the same I do with the deadlift, the raising a little bit the hip. You see
subtly, but that's honestly very common because you're figuring out where your hips need to be for this pin squat. So
yeah,
it's very subtle. It's not a shit ton of a deviation here.
yeah.
Look at that. It's literally a few inches and then it kicks up. So what that means is, for you normally, hips kick up for pretty much the same reason, but for two different. How do I say this so it makes sense? When Ian Miller was doing it, he was kicking up to out of position. You're kicking up into position. So Ian was the way he was kicking up was creating more of a hinge pattern because that's where he was naturally stronger on a foreign movement. But that wasn't the goal. You are kicking up because you're too far underneath yourself. So you're now kicking up into your squat position.
Okay.
So you have two options here. Is find this position to start and start there like a deadlift, or you're going to have to really bear down and hold that position.
Yeah.
But I think starting in this position, look, bar is over the midfoot. If you kick up into a hinge position, it puts the bar forward. It puts you out behind the weight too far. You're kicking up to where you need to be. So we need to get you to find this position before you drive up. And that's just going to take practice. Now you see it, you can look at it, and you have a physical and visible cue to equate the feeling. So this is all we need to work on for those, is just getting you to start here. Everything else, I'm not worried about you going a pin lower, because you're not too far off of depth. You're trying to get deeper, but it's putting you out of position. I'd rather you dial this and then we drop a pinhole.
Okay. Because I recorded other videos, like the previous sets, and I was doing it more, and then every next set I did it much less, and this one was the best one, quote unquote. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So let's work there, get that polished, and then we'll drop a pin height.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
But it was very good. It's just your body's trying to get into power.
Yeah. Okay. Now that's the.
So this is not a deficit deadlift. You need to be elevated, and the deadlift is lower.
Okay.
Was the program calling for deficit deadlifts?
Yeah, it's the maximized strength. Let me check.
So you got yourself closer to a rack pull here.
Oh shit! Yes.
Elevating the bar is more along the lines of a rack pull. So instead of the bar, the weight sitting on plates, you need to be standing on one of these, just a single one of those plate in height. So you're elevated. So the bar is now at a
lower. Okay.
A deficit.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know why I messed it up. I also watched the
video
about it.
You're making his Greeks look bad, and I'm not happy about it.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Made a mistake.
All good.
Okay.
All good. That's why we do this. Now you know.
Yeah. Now this one I need help. I'll explain you while we watch it.
Seated barbell. Okay.
I'm not sure how to do this one.
I mean, that's how you do it right there.
Yeah, but you see, I'm touching a lot with my back, upper back, because I cannot touch with my lower back the bench, you know. So I
Yeah.
feel like I'm putting a lot of strain on the lower back. I don't know if it's or
Yeah, but
should I?
here's why. You're not. But if you look where the barbell finishes, right? Here's why. That barbell is over your hips.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when you strict press, right? If I'm standing and strict pressing, I'm not strict pressing like this.
Yeah.
I'm strict pressing like this.
Uh-huh.
And then punching through, coming down.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's okay. That's
Okay.
not wrong. That is biomechanics at work. That's all that is. You could here's one thing you could do. You see this adjustment here on the seat?
Yes.
Drop the back of that seat down 1 or 2 holes so it angles the front,
Yes.
the end here.
Okay.
It angles you
Up.
into the angle of the bench. So if this is the back of the bench, the seat's now like this.
Okay.
So you're not, say, sliding out on the bench. That's a real issue with benches. You drop that seat angle 1 or 2 holes, and it angles your butt into the bench a little bit more.
Yes.
Might feel that just feels better when you're trying to overhead. The only thing I would correct about your actual press is you see how our elbows are behind this and not underneath. So instead of coming down and going here, I want you to come down to a height where the barbell can stay over the elbow. And that's where you press from.
Okay.
I don't need you down here. I need you here.
Okay.
That's really the only change in technique that I would make at this point.
Okay, and then one question, Nick. My head, when the barbell goes up, should it stay like it's here, or should I bring it a little bit forward?
You're going to press towards the back of your head, like you're doing.
So you see here, but
this
here
is fine.
Compared to the other reps, here I was just bringing my head a little bit at the front.
Before you open the window, so we don't want to bring our head forward and down, because typically when we're pressing, our head is back out of the way. And then as we press, we bring our head into neutral. We don't get it to our chest. We open the window, put our head through. So then it's in a neutral resting position.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
because I was wondering if I should, I feel much better on the standing press, but then that's fine. It's not.
I do too. I prefer it over the seated, but this is an assistance. This is just a very strict press. It's okay. And so, example, when I write, say a seated press variation, I also designate supported or unsupported. So if it was unsupported, this bench would be flat, so you'd have nothing to support your back, and you'd have to press in that realm. And this would be a seated supported overhead press. Not that it really matters here, but when it comes to like when we're really getting into the nuances, the fine tuning type stuff, and say you're prepping for a max overhead, you would see a lot more unsupported pressing because of that core stability involved.
Okay. Thank you. That was a big question mark I had for a few months now.
Here's Colin. Let's see what we got. He's got the band around his knees. There we go. Look at him sitting back. Are you actively driving out against the band, Colin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I got to but sometimes I can and sometimes
get a lighter band.
Okay.
Yeah, a lighter band, or there's things called hip circles that are meant for that. You can buy like packs that come in various tensions.
Yeah, I got.
And start with the lightest tension that you can find.
Okay.
Because for now,
That is my outfit band.
yeah. So for now, I want it as light as possible because at this point you're learning to drive the knees out. So I just want a physical marker that reminds you to push the knees out, that forces you to push the knees out.
Okay.
And then as you progress and it becomes habit, we can then go to a heavier band to really create glute tension and make you fight for it. But I want you getting it down with a really light band that's not so much about how much resistance, but just enough that it forces you to drive your knees out to create the physical cue of you doing so. And then when you go to a heavier band, you're going to feel a lot of glute engagement. You're going to feel your glutes light up. So this band might be a little too tense because we haven't built the pattern yet. But the way you're like this your squat pattern's gotten better. Like, look at this. You're nice and deep. We got a full range of motion. You're sitting back. This is all you're doing much, much, much better consistently.
Okay. Thanks, Nick.
Yes, sir.
On that note, I got to go.
That's okay. I appreciate you hanging in there.
Thanks.
These are good. He's got Super Trooper socks. Nice. If you haven't seen that movie, you should watch that movie. It's a classic. These are good. I want you to bring that bar down a little bit lower on your trap. I want you to come down to somewhere right, like literally a half inch. And I don't want you to false grip. I want you to grip the and squeeze. But your actual squat pattern looks good.
Yeah, I actually did that for this week's video that I'm going to submit next week. I actually let it roll down my shoulders this week instead of keeping it there.
Okay. How'd it feel?
It felt a lot better. I was able to grip the floor better with my heels and actually feel the leg drive coming back up a lot better.
You're short in the femur, long in the torso. So the reason why I had you do that cue is bring that bar here. When you break and start to hinge for the squat, it actually, essentially, in theory, reduces the length of your torso leverage. Meaning that because this distance is farther than this distance, right? This is where our leverage advantage is, right here. So what we're doing is creating less distance from here to here with the bar. And even though it's minute, try deadlifting with the bar an inch. Don't actually do this, but if you deadlift the bar an inch further away from you, at this point, you're going to know that was out front. That's why it was hard. And it was only an inch further. So we know how substantial an inch of leverages can be. Like an axle deadlift is 2 inches thick bar. That extra inch or inch and a half from a barbell in diameter makes the axle deadlift so much harder because of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to milk about a half inch out of this, and we're going to use that leverage to our advantage in your femur length. So we're going to bring that bar slightly down and create a reduction in torso leverage. That's, I guess, the science side of it. But yeah, so it should feel better, like you said. Less tippy.
Yeah.
Hi, Nick. I would like to know where to place the elbows during the squat.
In what sense?
Like we see with Danielson at the
here or here.
Exactly, yeah. So is it
Somewhere in here. We don't want to be behind the bar. We don't want to be in front of the bar. We want to be kind of under the bar and being able to generate back tension. I'm somewhere in this range right here, so I can squeeze my back.
Okay.
I actually have an upward input on the bar when I'm squatting. So we're a little low in the hips, Richard. And it's causing that forward roll out of the hole. So you're going from here. Whoops, too far. That. See that? So we want a slightly higher by like an inch. Again, you're playing with a game of inches now. Your rebuild is done. Now we are fine tuning. This is the hard part because it's little movements and it's hard to feel. So it's just a subtle little here to here.
And cool. Yeah, you told me to add some more weight, so I made sure I went up. This is 255. The video from last week.
This is exactly why I wanted you to add more weight, because I wanted to see where, when you started fighting, what changes.
Okay.
And you're not able to get away with being too low in the hips now because of the load. It's taxing this part of your body more. So when we tax the part that has to bear the load, our hip position is going to show us the error. Because you can't get away with trying to squat the deadlift now, and you're not doing it by much. You are marginal with it. So it's going to be a slight adjustment and starting your hips like an inch higher, because now look where it put that shoulder. It put it.
Yeah, it leaned forward.
It moved you past the bar. So when it breaks now, as you get heavier, what that bar is going to actually end up doing is swinging out away from you. This part of your back is strong enough to mitigate it. But this part, being out of position, is showing the change in position now, because it is now at a weight where it has to be in a better position.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You told me to narrow my feet a little bit more, so I was trying to focus on that this week for this one.
Stay to those heels. That was better. How'd that feel a little bit narrower?
It didn't feel too bad. I noticed that my knees were actually able to come out over my toes instead of before. It kind of felt like it was like it could go either way, trying to go down into my squat form. But I actually felt like going slower and then with my feet a little narrower, but my toes pointed out just a tiny bit more than normal people that I noticed, that my knee was actually able to come out above my toes and then come back up with more drive.
Well, with that being said, let's work there for a little bit and see how it feels in a couple weeks. And if you're like it, then we can kind of work you back out slowly.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, sir. How we need to get a touch lower. That was better, actually. You're right there. I mean, you're flirting with what white and red light depth. Your actual lever and the hinge looks really good. I really love how strong this posterior is stacked right here. You do that very well. Let me look at one more thing. Yeah, we get light in the midfoot. So we need to keep you a little bit more back. Just, I mean, a matter of a half inch is going to change that weight distribution. So like you're reaching behind your heels ever so slightly is what we want to get more to counter that weight distribution.
Nick, can you talk a little bit more about what the bar should feel like on your back? Because sometimes I feel like I'm trying to press it up with my hands when I'm squatting, and then I'll focus and I'll bear down on it, but then my brain says, "Whoa, this is heavier than it's supposed to be."
Yeah,
So
because you're pulling down on the fucking thing.
yeah, it's
Uh,
playing tricks on my mind.
yeah, so uh I mean, you have weight in your hands. It's not gonna go flying off your back if you're driving up into it, right? Like, um, so that comes down to that elbow position. So when I get really, really heavy, I'm squeezing with my back in this position so I don't round that out and lose that tension in the stack. But what I'm actually doing when I'm squeezing is due to that squeeze, I'm driving. If you look, what my wrists do when I crank back on my back, it turns my hands up into the bar and allows me to have a upward input into the bar because my I'm stacked on my lats. So it looks like I'm cranking down, but what I'm actually doing is cranking my back into position to allow me to drive up into the bar. Did that
I'll
make
try to
sense?
make sense of that next time.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to take some reps to play with that cue. Hal, your deadlift looks good. That was fantastic. I really like that. The only thing that subtle dip where you and try and hit, either get there, embrace and drive, or don't do it. Because it created what that could create is bar movement. Um, see if it happens. See that? You push down into it. Watch the end of the barbell. You push the bar out away from you ever so slightly. Swings. So it put you out of position ever so slightly. So we need to get into either that position before we pull, or we need to stop that last second movement to try and heat and get into the power. That was way out front. She's strong. Old girl strong. She's taking her time on her setup now, which I love to see. She should just jump right in there, grip it, and rip it, which I can appreciate that too. But she's getting in better position and she's pulling more center. She used to have this. She definitely still favors her right side. Jeanette, I want to see your deadlift from the side, please. For high pulls. So she's been working on a strict high pull, and this is you're doing it. You're doing it, Jeanette. You're doing a strict high pull. That's the best they've looked for you so far. Keep those elbows high. Good job. I think these racks are the coolest thing. Good. Now let's push a hair deeper. I don't want to change anything else right now because you're stacked up really well. We have a slight forward drift. Same cue I gave Hal earlier. I want you to kind of keep that weight shifted a quarter, half inch to those heels to eliminate that forward drift down towards the bottom. And that should open up that last, quarter inch of a range of motion for you. Otherwise, you're moving very well. Good. Look at this. Look at this all together. She doesn't push her shoulders out of position. Look at slight arch, tension in the leg. Sandro, you crushed those.
Awesome.
Well done.
Okay. Thank you.
How'd those feel?
Well, it was hard. I mean, this was pretty high for me, especially with nobody spotting me at top, so I was a little nervous. But then I went 5 pounds heavier the other day doing it after that. So
an adjustment, and then it took a set or two, and then it started trending up.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Lovely. Pressing over your head. I like it, not pressing out. Good
You
job.
can definitely feel the difference in strength on left and right, and you'll see it now.
That's common.
And that's
And it's
it.
minute. It's not like that's common.
Okay. Used to be. Oh.
Yeah, but there will always be typically a slight difference.
Yeah.
Are you left or right hand dominant?
I'm right. I
Okay.
can tell the difference sometimes.
Yeah. And it was your left that was lagging?
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Beautiful, Ben. A little bit forward deviation. Remember to physically input up into that bar, up and out with the elbows. That creates that tension to fight into the bar in the upper back. But otherwise, I mean, the hip position, the leg position, foot position, very sound. I love it. These are good. I want to see you adding in eccentrics. Give me the tempo on the way down. Let's see if he does it at the end. Nope. Okay, so those last couple reps, I want you to fight for super long eccentrics, somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds long, whatever you have in the tank. What's he saying?
Straighter today, much harder.
Yes.
But there you are, my darlings.
I love the way he words stuff. Yeah, so the last couple reps, I want you to fight for super long eccentric. Basically overload the tension on the down, on the last couple to really finish it. A little bit more towards your face, but I like the position. Otherwise I like where your elbows are going. Elbows are underneath the wrist, power's in line. Just a little bit more press towards your face. That's it. Good job, Ben. Boy, how to get these up? A little bit of a Steinborn action here.
Yeah, I did it because you mentioned it to
So,
Leah, I guess.
For everyone's educational purposes, the OG way to get a barbell up on your back before we had the brilliant idea of having a rack was called the Steinborn squat. And what it is you would tip up a barbell vertically, and then you'd wedge yourself underneath, and then tip it over, and then you'd stand up, and then you'd start squatting. It's hard to do, and severely limits the amount of weight you can, because the amount of weight you can squat comes down to the amount of weight you can get up. But it's a valid option in this situation. I like it. Bart, these are good. A little bit of butt wink at the bottom, but it's not terrible, so I'm not worried about it. You're moving well.
Okay. And how to put it out the same way? The bar is shorter, and it got the screws on, so I'm not worried like with the collar. But is this a valid option? The couch is taking a beating, but
yeah, 100%. In this environment, all day long.
Yeah, I got kids running around, so
use the couch for a little bit of elevation. That was clever.
You gotta do what you gotta do in the house.
Exactly. I would agree. 9 out of 10 effort. You might have had one more. I'd agree with that. That was a good call. A little low. That little kick down in the hips that you did, I want you to start here. That little kick down at the hips, you kick up out of it, back into that. See? You sit down, and then as soon as the bar breaks, they go back up into that position. So that is your deadlift position to start. Versus down here. And once you up here, not down here, because you're kicking up into that position anyway.
Okay, I was more focusing on no jerking part.
Yeah, you did it though. You did it. We just that's a good thing. One thing solved. Keep doing what you're doing there. Now let's focus on the hip position.
Okay, and my next deadlift session with the barbell will be on the Saturday, so tomorrow.
Okay.
And should I go for another 1 rep max, or should I already deload before?
What's your program say?
I'm on short on time foundation, and it's like I guess 6 reps for now.
Yeah, you definitely want to stick to the rep work. I don't want you making an adjustment going for a 1 rep max.
Okay, no, I was just like a little tinkering. I'm sorry, with the rep schemes you sent. Ketchel sent to Ben Riley, but now I'm just gonna deload, so I'm gonna do a speed work starting this tomorrow, I guess. So no PRs or anything. And then I have a stiff-legged deadlift on the Tuesday, I guess. So it will be speed work only.
Okay.
And then we'll see. I actually have a question. Can we do straight bar, no trap bar at Tal? Because
I don't
you
know what the
said
equipment
yesterday to
situation is
Corin
going to be
that
like.
okay. No, I could go for trap bar. I know it's safer, but
I think we're
I'm
just doing trap bar because we're not going to be in a have a ton of equipment situation. So I think it is
okay.
just going to be. I could be wrong, but I'm 60% sure that it is going to be just a trap bar there. But who knows? Catch could be catch and be like, surprise! I decided we're doing a deadlift, a conventional a barbell too. That is that's totally possible. But as far as I knew, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be just a trap bar.
No worries there. Just for me to know. I was starting with the trap bar, and then you nudged me to straight bar. So
Yeah, I would say you're going to be in tall, right?
yep.
I would switch to trap bar for like the deload and stuff, just for familiarization, refamiliarization for the prep because this last week you're not going to get any stronger. This is
Yeah,
just
no,
going to be about getting things right. So use a trap bar if you can, just for specification.
okay, will do.
Sounds good.
And I know you're all going like next week to Tal to Austria. Do you know if anyone from Povio will be there from the developer side of the app? Some of them are
Usually,
close.
Exxon is there,
Okay.
but don't hold me to that because I also don't ask. But I I'm just assuming that he would be there because he typically comes to these things.
Okay.
So based off that, I would think, but that's above my pay grade.
No worries. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you as always.
Yes, sir. So dumbbell RDLs, I'm assuming these are good. This is right where you want to be. Got a great hinge pattern, put reaching back with the butt, light in the toes, heavy in the heel because of the hip change. This is good. Well done. Bar's a little out front because it's swinging back. So I want you closer to the bar. The brace is holding. We're overloading. This is good. I just want you closer to that bar. Drive those knees out. This is good, Jonathan. We've got good leg driving here. This looks much better. We're getting more leg drive into your pull. I want you actively driving your knees subtly out. Get those toes pointed out slightly more, and drive those knees out towards that pinky toe. So our weight is center foot. We don't get that collapse. Nailed that. I mean, bars straight up and down. Finish the pull, Mike. Get those hips all the way through, directly underneath your shoulders. Otherwise, your deadlift looks great. We'll clean. Yep. All right. So we want to narrow up your foot width. We want to get them closer under the hips. I'm okay with the lower hip position for the clean. That's fine. But we want to bring your feet in a little bit, quite a bit more. And before the press, I want you to stand all the way up with the bar. So you clean, it lands, stand up so you can catch. That's exactly why. So you can catch the bar, get set, re-brace, dip and drive. I want to see it in that order. I want you to get your feet underneath you first. And I want to see you catching the bar, then re-bracing, dipping and driving before we add in a bunch more cues. Got the right idea. That's solid. I really like you. You've nailed width. Maybe half of a pinky width in closer.
Closer, okay.
Only reason I'm saying that is because when we're down in the hole, we're still angled out. And Dave, when I say closer, I mean literally half of a pinky width.
Right.
So you're going from here to here.
Yeah.
So we're directly over our elbow. We're stacked from wrist to elbow in the hole, and we're not outside. That's it. That's the goal, is to get your wrist over the elbow. It looks slightly outside by a hair.
Gotcha.
So that's why I say like half of a pinky width. It's not much. I'm being very picky here, because if you incline press the rest of your life right here, you'd be fine.
Okay.
But I'm being picky because you're doing it very well. So I'm shaving the grains down to really get sculpt here. I'm sniping. And when I get picky with someone, it means you're doing a lot right, and we're really polishing.
Awesome.
So well done.
Cool.
That is it for the form checks. We can open it back up to a Q&A.
Nick, if you could show Dave the video again, I actually have a question about the width. What's the preference? What's the
the goal
shoulder
is when you're in the bottom, have your wrists stacked over your elbows. So if you're in the bottom and your wrists are outside, you're too wide. If your wrists are inside your elbows, like a close grip bench, you're too narrow. So we want our wrists, general rule of thumb, pretty much over our elbows. You'll see some high-level benchers, some very high-level elite benchers. They might be a little bit on the wider side, but they're for different reasons. But a general sound and safe rule of thumb is we want power in line, right? We want power alignment. So where things come from the origin of the power to the barbell, we want alignment. So we want that wrist stacked over the elbow. So when we press, it will be a nice Y shape, but we're over our power. Because as you're finishing the bench, I like to cue people to pull the bar apart. So as we're getting up here where the triceps take over, think about how you engage your triceps. So imagine the bar could pull apart, and you're inputting to pull apart because your hands are pressing in that direction with the barbell. You're pulling apart to really consciously get those triceps to fire into the lockout. You froze. Did that make sense? I can't hear you. No, that might be.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.
Okay, cool. Joe, Ellis, what's going on?
Hey, mate, you okay?
All good.
Mate, I know.
Thanks for waiting patiently.
Yeah, it's a great session, mate. Really appreciate it. Just a quick one. I know I missed yesterday, but Joe mentioned you talked about the front squat. I've got a damaged left wrist, which means I can't do a press up on my left wrist anymore. So I always do it on my knuckles. But I can bench. Everything's okay. Dumbbells, bench, but it does crack around quite a lot. So I've got a deficient scapholunate ligament there, and it kind of moves around in there. So when I try and do a front squat, you hate this one, yeah? But when I try, I just can't get there. It's just too uncomfortable to sustain.
So I'm going to show you pull up a video of Michael front squatting because he does my number 2 recommendation. Where's the... What screen can you guys see? Is it the Zoom screen or is it form checks? Oh, it says paused. Hold on.
Yeah, it's a blank screen
Operator
right now.
error here. Stop share. Where did it go? Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
There it is. Yep.
Okay. So let me find Michael Stammer.
Yeah, he's at this.
So he's using lifting straps.
Okay.
There, you can see it.
Yeah, I see.
So you know how they have the loop to run the strap through? You do that, but around the bar. And then you have tandems. So when you're getting into the rack, I have long ones that I do it with. Because if I'm having like my world record overhead prep, my wrists got the shit beat out of them with all the push pressing in that position. So I'm doing my front squats because they were beat up. If I'm just front squatting, I typically go here because I don't need to preserve them, but I wanted to preserve them for the overhead. So when my wrists are getting beat up from double tapping them on push press and front squat, I take long straps, I lap them around the bar, run them through, pull them tight, and then I crank in one loop around my hand.
Okay.
And then I push in and turn up. So then now I'm in this position and I don't have any wrist torsion. So what you're seeing is him doing exactly that here. You can see the strap.
And you're keeping the upward angle with your elbows to try and to pull it so it sits nicely on your front of your shoulders.
It gives you more dictation than this because you can actively drive back, drive up, and it keeps you in that nice high elbow position.
Okay, mate, I'll try that.
Yep.
Thanks, Nick.
Long straps, depending on, you probably want like 6 to 8 inches of strap, give or take. Like I said, mine are on the longer side. And even if they're too long, you can take and tie a knot in the end of them. If you don't want to wrap, you don't have enough wrap, you can put the knot in
so
the
you can
end.
just push against the knot. Okay, mate. I appreciate that.
Yeah, send me a video. Let me see.
I'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Joe, how are you getting on?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Not bad at all. Yeah.
I'll
No
see you guys.
questions or anything.
Okay. Yeah, we can go over problems in person next week, right?
Excellent.
Perfect.
Be brilliant.
Are you
Thank
going to be in Tal, Nick?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, see you then.
I fly out Wednesday.
Okay.
I fly out Wednesday, get there, and then we have like a 4-hour layover in Paris because we got to do that EES thing with the fingerprints and all that shit. And they recommend like 2.5 hours or whatever. So
yes.
So get to hang out in Paris for a few hours, and then from Paris to, I think we're flying into Vienna because we're renting a car because I'm gonna go to. I'd like to see stuff. So and it's all left-hand drive there anyway. So we're gonna drive, take a little scenic route to Tal, with the rental, and then from when we get done, we're gonna drive to Budapest, and then fly out of Budapest, and everything's cheap there. Like nice hotels for like $80 a night.
Yeah, Budapest is quite cheap. Budapest is.
So I get to travel now and not have to do it for competition or weight cut. So I'm gonna eat all the food and drink
Enjoy.
all
But
the.
just be careful, mate, because I got nailed for speeding last time. They got €150 fine because the speed
yeah.
limits go up and down, up and down. Literally down one road, it can change 3 or 4 times.
That's why you don't stop. You don't pull over. Just hammer down, and you're already getting a speeding ticket anyway. You know what I mean? Just not driving. Yeah, be like challenge accepted.
I was 4 kilometers over the limit, and they nailed
That's
me. 4 kilometers.
crazy. 4.
Yeah, 4 kilometers.
In America, certain states, it's like a felony if you're 20 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like an arrestable felony.
Is it?
Yeah, or it may not be a felony, but it's a arrestable offense. Whereas like before, it just like was a hefty fine. Now they can arrest you if you're certain. Virginia, they just did it in Maryland. And I'll be honest, I ride fast. I have a race bike. Like when I'm not on the track, I let her eat. And Maryland is a non-pursuit state. So after a certain excess of speed on a bike, they won't even try because of the collateral damage they could cause. And I'll say this, we take advantage of that. And like on 70 is a high speed limit. It's like 70 mile an hour. And I'll have it in cruise control on triple digits. And the cops won't even pull out. I'll just go by them and, you know, like they know we know. And by the time they go from park to drive on a 1300cc race bike, I can downshift and I can create a mile gap in a matter of seconds. So what are they going to do anyway? Like I'm out of
unless they cut you off unless they cut you off further up.
Yeah. And like I'm not one of those riders that when there's condensed traffic, I'm not like bit putting other people at risk. Like if I hit like a section where there's like a dozen cars, I will defensively, aggressively make my way to the front because I'm safer away from other people, because the amount of time someone has just come over and I'm like, my bike is orange and black and loud. I don't like, you just weren't looking. Because it's loud enough. If I go down like Main Street in town and I rev it, I'm setting off car alarms. It has a racing exhaust. It is built for flow. So people just don't look. I've been hit twice. So I ride a certain way to prevent other people. And like motorcycle cops, they get it because they ride aggressive too. But cars are like, you ride like an asshole. And I'm like, no, I ride like you don't know I'm here because you're in a cage. I'm not.
Yeah. What about these heavy traffic situations where they're, going down the line in between cars on the interstate?
Some states it's legal.
Really? Because I didn't see it.
Like California, splitting's legal.
You see it a lot in California, and now I'm seeing it more in Texas.
Yeah, certain. I don't know the state to state rules. It's not legal. So you have splitting and you have filtering. So filtering is when you're at a stoplight. The motorcycles can legally split and filter up to the front to get out in front of the traffic where it's safer. Splitting is in active driving and you're splitting in between because it is a gap. Some states they're both legal, some states one or the other's legal. I don't know, but I know in most cases I'll filter. And it's not like I'll blow through. I'll go by at like 3 mile an hour in traffic stop and filter to the front just because it's 3 lanes wide. People are jockeying. You always have those assholes like that are flying through traffic and weaving. They call it swimming. I've almost been hit by them because they get around another car before they get to see you and they're coming into your lane. So I've filtered even in states where I knew it wasn't legal just because fuck everyone else. Like I don't feel like going to the hospital. Like I ride like, when I say I ride like no one else can see me, it's not like, oh, dance like nobody's watching. It's not like that. It's like, I'm assuming that you don't know I'm there. And so
Fair.
it's active prevention for being hit.
But that's why your exhaust is loud, so at least you're heard.
Yeah, but the loudness of my exhaust is just a byproduct of what it's made to do.
Yeah.
But I love it's an Austrian bike. It's a KTM Super Duke V Twin 1290R 1301cc. Factory. It comes with 184 horsepower, and about 130 pounds of torque. It's 2019, so you can milk. I've got it tuned right now at 201 horsepower, and 141 pounds of torque. So it's 0 to 150 is stupid. It's a torque monster. Fifth gear, I don't have to bounce it up. I can crack throttle at 4,000 RPM, and it's the front wheel's light. And it's a short wheelbase. It is the naked track version of its track bike, but without the fairing. I prefer nakeds, just I like the way they look better, and I'm strong enough to be able to hold on at 160 mile an hour because you have no fairing. And you literally feel it trying to lift you off the bike. And if you've never been 150 plus, somewhere around 160 plus, you feel the aerodynamics of your helmet, like certain helmets, the aerodynamics aren't built for those speeds. And mine is a MotoGP standard helmet. So I keep my chin down, and the aerodynamics of the helmet keep the helmet pressed on my head. But I've had helmets where you feel the lift happening at the base, and you feel the helmet getting light on your head because of the airflow up underneath.
You start to slow down when that happens?
Yeah, you can literally, if I come up off the tank at like 150 plus, you literally can look down your speedometer and watch your climb. If you're on throttle accelerating, you will actively see your climb slow. So if I'm 6 gear pinned and I'm hitting, I could gain 20 mile per hour at that speed instantly just by fairing because of aerodynamic drag. Because 6 gear is a big gear. So any amount of resistance, it's not a gear geared for torque. It's a gear geared for top speed. So you have horsepower and you have torque. Horsepower is how fast you can go. Torque is how fast you can get up to that speed. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, the torque gradually decreases. First is stupid torquey. If I'm doing a launch, I'm in second gear. Because if I launch in first, it's like whop, shift, whop, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then you hold. So I'm at minimal torque at the top of sixth, where I kind of really, so like a Hayabusa, a Suzuki Hayabusa is a drag racing motorcycle. It is a long chassis, big back tire, turns like a bus, but it goes 0 to 200 very quickly in a straight line. So those bikes built for that top end speed, I'm cooking 0 to 150. I'm smoking them, beating the brakes off of them. But after that, I got to get as big of a gap if I'm drag racing, because that 150, they're still climbing like I was climbing at 120. So their top end leg is very long and still has power because that's how they're geared. My bike is built for track and course, where straightaways are limited, right? You might have a straightaway, but by the time you get back up to 6th gear, you're pulling in the clutch, bringing up your RPMs, you're dropping 2 gears because you got to bring up your RPMs to avoid rear wheel skid. So when you're hearing a race car going, wamba, what they did was they brought up the engine RPM to match the transmission RPM.
Uh-huh.
So the transmission's spinning really fast. They're in a high gear. So you've got to get them to mesh. So you bring up your RPMs with throttle, with the clutch in and the transmission disengaged, and then you downshift, and then the RPMs now match so the rear wheel doesn't lock up and get loose.
Oh, shit, I put it in neutral.
You put it in neutral?
Yeah.
When you downshift?
Because if your clutch is engaged, your engine and transmission they're separated. So when you put it in neutral, they're mated, and then you can match your revs.
That takes longer. So if you slip into a turn, right? You're talking car?
Yeah.
So you have to set up the car for a turn, right? So typically what you'll see, they do it in Moto 2, it just looks a little different. When you set up a car, you load the front end by braking. So you get traction on the front end. So now, so if you have a turn, if you have a turn, this is your apex. So if you're coming into that turn, you want to set that front end to the exit angle. So I'm going to slip in and then throttle out because the throttle cancels the slip. So because I'm now unloading the front end and loading traction and loading weight back to the rear by throttling out. So I'm light in the rear, applying brake, downshifting, and I slip in using my brakes to break my ass end slightly loose, to load the front end to create traction on the front, to pivot around the nose, to then reload after I've rev matched and throttle out. So I want to get to the gear I want to accelerate with sooner. So I don't want to slip into neutral to rev match. I want to punch in clutch. Say I'm coming into the turn in fourth. I want to exit in second because it's a tight corner. I'm going to push in clutch, hit the brake, hit the throttle. So heel on brake, toe on throttle. Clutch is in. And then I'm going to hit the brake, punch throttle, jab it, bring the RPMs up, grab second. I'm already there. Let out the clutch, slide my heel off brake and punch down the throttle. So it goes from setting the nose to sitting back and throttling out.
I'll give that a shot this afternoon.
If you're talking racing, you're going to have to learn to heel toe and double clutch.
Oh, I practice that every day.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't made it to the track yet, though.
If you have the time, you can grab neutral. It's not an option for bike. Even sitting still, KTM, neutral is such a small fucking spot, so you don't accidentally or false neutral. Because down for first, up for second. Now, a racing shifter, when you're accelerating, it's a tilt lever. You have a heel toe shift knob. So with that left foot, when you're braking, you're front heavy. So you're loading that toe and you're downshifting with your toe. And when you're on the throttle, you're butt heavy. So you're in your heel more with your toe on the peg, and you're hitting the shift lever down with your heel to throttle up or shift up and accelerate. You can do one or the other, vice versa. I have the standard one on this bike still, but now they have quick shifters where you don't have to grab clutch to shift up, which I learned to quick shift on a motocross bike. So you briefly roll off throttle without grabbing clutch. It's just a little blip off to mitigate power input. And you just slam the next gear and throttle on. It's a bip bip. It's quick without grabbing clutch. So that was the quick shifting before the quick shifter was invented. And that's what I turned my quick shifter off on my because it's a smart bike. Like certain tracks, like if certain classes are no traction control, because traction control is a cheat code on a track. It eliminates, you wheeling. It only let the wheel. It only let angle of the bike go up so far before it starts automatically computing power input in the bike. And then now they have like 6-axis lean angle traction. So like a certain lean angle, it'll actually mitigate throttle input electronically internally to keep that back end from slipping. Now, there are other things you can do. Suspension, dampening and rebound. If you're wagging in the turn, kind of bouncing through your turn, your rebound's too stiff. So you want it to grab, compress, and squat and use the G-force and your weight to hold. And the whole reason for coming off the bike like that is to decrease lean angle of the bike. So the less lean angle the bike has, the more tire is in contact. The further you get on the edge of that tire, the less is in contact. So you come off the bike to counterweight, by applying outward peg pressure, high side pressure on the foot peg, and pushing yourself off the bike. So in turn, you're applying outward peg pressure to peel the bike more upright while you come off the inside of the bike to counter and create inward drive. And throttle off creates a tighter turn, throttle on creates acceleration, which will bring the outside. So if you come in too tight, the simple answer isn't to stand the bike up, it's to give more throttle, and it'll pull you back out into your line. Or if you've come in too hot and you need to suck your turn in, you chop throttle and it'll suck you in. You don't want to apply brake. You want to set up your front end. You equal front and rear brake. You can use front brake in a turn, but you don't want to punch it. It's a subtle, very minute grab, because if you ask too much from your tires in a turn, you either low side, you typically low side, you lose traction. You low side, it means that front end's let loose. So if you high side, you've typically given it too much, back end kicked around, and then grabbed, and then it flings you over the top. That's when you see moto guys go flying off the bike off the high side. High side sucks. Low side, you're going for a nice long ride across the asphalt. So yeah, that it's all about racing, and motorsports is all about traction. So
you're saying I don't need a double clutch when I downshift?
Do what?
You're saying I don't need a double clutch when I downshift?
It depends.
If I have time.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, like you can go in and set up if you're going in, because if you're cornering with as much entry, the goal of a turn is to get on the other side of it as fast and efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
Right? So apexing a turn creates a straight line, a straighter line than following the inner turn. But you don't always have the whole track to use. You might have someone on your inside. You might have someone on your outside. So if you've got someone on your outside and you also need to play a little bit of defense, setting up your nose, grabbing clutch, getting into second, and blasting your revs up, and then punching the brake to seat that rear end and pivot on that nose now that you've got the nose loaded, and then throttling out allows you to pivot a little bit more and reach that apex angle sooner to have a throttle. And because they're on your outside, if you cut off if they're outside, they're coming in faster because on the outside line, they have a longer turn. They can carry a little bit more speed. You've got to get up to speed faster to counter their corner. So when you come in and you set that nose and you can get on the throttle sooner, you can then shave off their line and create a block and get to the outside of the track depending on where the next turn is. So if you are going to a chicane where it's a left and a right, I want to cut off this guy's line and create a block, and then I can get to the inside of the turn and force him around the outside. Or if it's a left, a straight, and then a left, I'm still going to do the same thing, right? So I'm going to take the straight away from him, force him to brake to get in line, and then take the inside maybe a little bit early so he can't get on my inside. That's a little bit more about strategy. So that's why I say yes and no. It depends on the situation, because when you're racing, you're not out there by yourself unless you're qualifying.
Cool. I got to get to the track.
On today's TED Talk. Any other questions about anything?
I've learned about motocross, helicopters, shooting, different types of guns. It's brilliant.
It's an education. And a safe, a gun safe, massive gun safe.
I'm you build those shelves behind you.
I just want to wish for all of you, and I gotta go, but I see Benoit gonna keep you here a little longer.
You overthought something I just said. Hey, Bart.
Probably.
Go ahead, Benoit.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
All right. I didn't want to overthink it. I don't want to take too much of your time. So I reduced my list of questions to 17 questions. No, I'm kidding. But I do have 3 questions. So first, I have a pinch in my right groin after I do the deadlift, and that pinch lasts for maybe 2 days, 3 days, and it feels like if the legs want to block when going backward. When I walk, it feels like it blocks, and it's only after deadlifts. So
Every time? And how long has it been going?
It's been going since I lift heavier. In the 300s, it's more common, and it doesn't happen if it's rack pulls. It happens when I go down, and when I'm in the start position, I can feel that the head of my femur is pinching a little bit, just very little bit. And of course, if I open my knees, the pinch goes away. But then I'm too wide open if I do that. Maybe.
All right, Joe, you've got a physio background.
You on Ellis who's in the toilet. I did respiratory.
Let
me
see. Pinch it off.
Hang on a second. Ellis, how long are you going to be? Oh, he's going to be a minute or 2.
So
I'm no use there. Sorry.
So odds are, so what happens? We got to think when we're opening. We have adduction and abduction. So you've heard the exercises where the abduction, adduction.
Yes.
The good girl, bad girls. So one creates the in, allowing us to clamp our legs together. The other, with assistance with our glutes, allows us to open. So the adduction allows us to contract, right? So
yes.
Meaning that when you drive your knees out, you don't have this on a squat?
Curiously, it's with the dumbbell front squat only. Maybe because I
any different in foot width? Are you narrower in foot width?
I'm more open actually, but
so
the main pinch is with deadlifts.
And it's out of the hole. It's not the top half of the ROM.
No.
Send me a video from the front next week. I want to see what's moving and where. Because if we have that, send me a video from the front, so I can see exactly what's moving and where. It could be something as something's tight and pulling, and that's where it's surfacing. Ellis, you might be able to chime in on this one actually.
Okay.
Benoit is at the bottom of his deadlift. He's getting a pull up in his groin. But when he opens, the knee drive opens outward, it goes away. So you have abduction and adduction, right? And typically, like in a squat, people who squat very open, they're using a lot of hamstring and adductor. So the fact of the matter that stood out to me was that when the knee drive opens and we get the abduction, and the glutes are helping, because abduction and glutes they work synergistically to bring out. So if that is he's opening and he's getting a relief of that pinch, would that that would say to me that could be something adductor related.
Yeah, but potentially. I think you're right. I think what's happening is probably an over dominance there. If he's deliberately flaring, then he's, as you said, he's firing up the glutes and the abductors more, and taking the emphasis off the adductor, the adductors. So if that's a way to go, it'd probably be a way to work more at that and get work on form in that position, then gradually work towards moving back to a more neutral stance, but taking it back a notch, working on that flare, and then working back to a more neutral stance if necessary.
Do you do any adduction stretching, like adductor stretching?
Yeah, I do.
Do you feel anything there?
For instance, when I sit and I place you open your legs and you touch your feet together like this.
Oh, like a butterfly stretch.
Yeah, the butterfly stretch. Yeah. So when I'm doing that, there's a point where I feel the pinch, and then when I open more, then the pinch goes away. So there's just a slight area when it's almost all open that I feel it, and afterwards it goes away. That pinch feels like the muscle is too short, and you know the psoas muscle as well. So when I stretch, I lift, I raise my arm and I put a knee on the ground.
Okay.
And I tighten my abs. Then I feel the stretch in that same area. And it will release the pain for a few minutes, and then it comes back.
So have you done this before? So whatever side it's ailing you, get down on one knee, put a leg out. And then you can start here by simply sitting back into it, keeping my foot rolled, the bottom of my foot rolled down onto the floor, and sitting back into it. And then when you get it mobile enough, come down onto your hands, put them out in front of you, and really push back.
Okay.
Like hold for like a 10 count and see if there's any sort of pain relief, pain agitation, and see if opening it could just be pissed off. It could be tight. It could be something else. Again, my psoas was locking up and I was getting glute pain. Or I'm sorry, my quad was locking up and I was getting glute hamstring attachment pain. And I thought it was naturally my glute or my hamstring. Nope, it was pulling up through, creating a super tight psoas, and which connects to in the rear. So it was pulling through a chain of things, and I was getting symptomatic in my glute hamstring. And when we released my quad, it went away immediately.
Mm-hmm. I'll try that stretching that you showed, and give you news about it.
Stretch the quad too.
By pulling my foot?
Couch stretches. So think like Bulgarian split squat.
Yes.
And then sitting back and driving that hip forward with interior pelvic tilt. Mm-hmm. Sitting back and letting this all pull, and see if that allows something to open up.
So that movement I do, and I raise the arm as well to increase the stretch, and that feels pretty good in the groin.
Okay,
I mean, sometimes, mate, it can be also a lack of stability around one hip or the other. So you could do things like you could assess what your single leg bridge is like. So you come up into a single leg bridge.
Copenhagen planks.
See what the control's like. See if one side's harder than the other.
Yeah.
The other way to do it would be also a short side plank. So a side plank on the bottom knee and have the top leg in abduction. So in a side plank. Just to see what it feels like if there's a real lack of control. And if
put your top leg on a bench the inside of your knee, and the other one underneath the bench is called a Copenhagen plank.
Yeah, yeah.
And pull yourself with that top adductor up
Yeah.
into alignment. See if you get pain. See if you get relief.
Yeah. And also, if one side's much weaker than the other, so one side might be crappy, one side might be really strong, and then try and balance things out a little bit. But there's so many things. But I think look at the control, as Nick said. Look at the control, single leg bridge, the Copenhagen plank or side plank, whatever, and see if there's anywhere there where you think, wow, one side's much weaker than the other, because one side, especially the psoas, might be far enough to give you stability where the hip itself hasn't got stability.
Doing the single leg bridge, I do have one side that is much weaker than the other.
So then I would focus, obviously, working at that, trying to build the strength up on that.
Is that the side where you get the pinching?
I don't remember which side I'm poor at, but that would mean it's probably a glute thing that isn't strong enough, and then it compensates with the front with the front muscle in the groin.
It could be that it could be the side that's pinching is not necessarily the weak side.
Yep.
But it's having to work hard because the other side's weaker. So it's all about the balance. If you do some unit, as Nick said, Copenhagen planks, they call them, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And then the single leg bridging, and focus on your side and try and get your balance right. Don't progress too far too quick.
Okay, good. I'll work on that.
Okay.
Another question, Nick. When we do the deadlift, where should we hold the barbell inside our hand? Is it in the distal palmar crease or directly in the palm? So is it right there or
like
more
right
above? Right now my screen is locked on Joe and Ellis.
Sorry.
That's a good thing. You're lucky.
It's gonna be somewhere right here, because you got to think, if we put a barbell here in our hand and we grab and load and we try to maintain it there, it's just gonna pull us straight, and that bar is gonna sink down into that spot.
Yeah.
So pretty much where those calluses are, slightly below it is kind of where it's gonna be, and it's gonna be in this portion of the palm.
Because it created a severe pain here, and it got swollen as well.
Yeah, I don't see him being able to maintain it in this position, because just the way the bar wants to load, it's going to load down into, like, whether you do a frame carry, hold a dumbbell, barbell, it's all going to be the same in the ability to crush, right? So we're not going to be able to be in this retracted position to maintain it in down low in the palm where you would in like a bench press.
Yes.
So it's going to have to rest in the meat of basically from here to here when we clamp down on the barbell.
Okay. Now, when lowering the barbell, like, we lock straight, and then when we lower, I don't want my lower back to round, but I feel that it's more rounding than when I'm going up.
Because you're not going down the way you came up. Typically, if I had to guess, you're bending at the knee first and trying to come down vertically, which causes you a much more likely, contrary to what people think, you want to hinge first. So the butt needs to get out of the way. The hips need to get out of the way. So then the bar is now over your kneecap in that triangle. And then the knees bend and lower. Okay. So what I mean by that is, a lot of times where people fuck up is they think, oh, I got to go down. I need to. And then you end up in flexion. Versus, let me get my hips out of the way and then come down. Okay. Which is how we come up. So if I get my hips out of the way, then bend at the knee, it looks the same as when I come up. So it's just reverse. So the legs start the deadlift, glutes and hamstrings finish, glutes and hamstrings start the descent, and quads finish.
That's interesting.
I'm getting used to I'm getting used with the way up, but then now I have to focus on the way down.
Yeah, if you're doing eccentrics 100%. I mean, if you're doing full speed, you don't need to guide it down. I mean, when I'm doing like, especially like my last little bit of prep where I'm peaking for contest, I'm coming up and then I'm boom, boom. I'm pretty much at free fall, just guiding the bar. So I'm not actually loaded because I'm matching the bar's speed on the way down. But I know, some gyms don't like fucking noise, and it is loud, especially when you have 600 plus pounds on the bar. And they're metal plates because you can't use bumpers because they won't fit. So unless you're in a place where they allow, you're in your garage, so who cares?
Yeah, well, I want to practice. I want to get good before like I want. Yeah, exactly.
I like where your head's at. You just need to get your hips out of the way and then descend. So it's reverse order. Watch how you deadlift and then mimic that on the way down. So hips have to clear. If the hips are the last thing to finish in a deadlift, which they are, they're the first thing to get out of the way. So that allows you to bend at the knee. And then bend. Because when we come up, we're straightening the leg, then hips come through, hips have to get out of the way, knees then bend.
So it's like doing an RDL when I'm going down. I push my butt back.
Just an RDL with more bendy knees.
Okay. Yeah, it seems pretty simple and intuitive, but it wasn't. And on my way down, I was trying not to, but I was rounding the lower back a little bit at the beginning on my way down.
Yep. Usually when people do that, it's for the same reason. They didn't get their hips out of the way. Because it's foreign. We practice up all the time. And then as soon as we try to reverse the process, we're like, what the fuck?
All right. That answers all my questions for today.
Anybody else before we wrap this up and get on with our lives?
All good, mate. All good.
Great
Ellis,
questions,
I appreciate
Benoit.
your
Great
help
questions.
with your expertise.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Joe.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
Yes.
Easy. West side.
Later.
See you, mate.
Bye.
Cheers.